Happy 4th of July, everybody. It's day 6 reflections, and I'm just out in my backyard. Say hi to the chickens. It's Chicoletta, and I haven't named that one. But I wanted to label this one freedom, obviously, to celebrate freedom, but on a deeper level, where the Spirit of the Lord is, there is freedom. And the reflections on my life in these 44 years and where I'm at right now, and as I look back and consider the craziness that is the way I do these resets and these challenges and this all or nothing approach. And I felt like I needed to talk about it because I look back at my childhood and I look back at a lot of why I put on an armor, why I resonate as a warrior. Marcus, I guess, means warrior, one, but I've always resonated with the warrior. And I think from an early age, my mom says I was 2 months preemie, 3 pounds 6 ounces, I fought for my life. The way I dealt with trauma and the things around me that I couldn't control was through control. And I remember early on, even food was that for me. In my teenage years, 20s, 30s, I found a medicinal way of coping. I wouldn't call it medicinal, it was recreational then. It's become okay to be medicinal, if you know what I mean. The Mary J was a big part of my life for decades. But another interesting fact was there was this dichotomy because too bright. It's too much sun in my eyes. I was a scholar athlete, 2-sport football, baseball player in high school, and then I ended up playing some collegiate ball and a year of semi-pro. And I always had the other pull come in. And that other pull was the escape, the letting go of control. Because control is a false narrative. It's not real. You don't have true control, but it's through those senses of control you feel like you can disguise that in discipline. You can disguise that in good habits. You can disguise that, but I look back at it, and whether it's the extreme all or nothing aspects of my life, I've kind of found a way to temper it, I should say. And so freedom, when we get back to the freedom where the Spirit of the Lord is, there is freedom. Well, being sober-minded to me is freedom. Like I've dealt with the opposite, and it never works. When I try to do the other, any sort of escape mechanism, typically whether it was alcohol in the past or marijuana or any other, magic formula, let's just call it that. I always went back to, how do I quiet my heart? How do I be still? How do I hold these thoughts captive? And ultimately sober-mindedness, even more so the freedom that comes with, like, for example, fasting. I always come back to it because food was always coping for me. Comfort, right? Even as a small child. And so it manifested over time when things got out of control and traumas happened in my life where it became an eating disorder for a while. And so when I recognized that and I couldn't quite deal with it, it was this dichotomy because I was also always fascinated with optimal genetic expression and health and fitness and personal trainer and all these certifications that I got and all these books, dozens and dozens of books. I mean, I might as well have a master's or a PhD in this stuff as much as I've digested. Just pure, very fascinated. Because I was like, is there some people that are just wired different? You know, is there like typing? Is there blood typing? Is there some people that just do better with a certain way? And I, because I'm like, I don't understand, because everybody else is doing it this way, and that doesn't work for me. That never worked. So I would continue self-experimenting until I found something that would turn off the noise, which could create freedom, because freedom ultimately is here, right? So when you start understanding that it's not always physiological, sometimes it's psychological, right? It's the heart, it's the mind, it's the will, the emotions. And if you start figuring out how those tie together with your body and ultimately the spirit, that's why I seek first the kingdom and his righteousness every single morning, because I know that if I start that way in my day, and I, opposite of the world, which is to feed and gratify the flesh and to indulge, it always seems to then create a domino in my habits and in my thought life. And ultimately I'm able to surrender and hold thoughts captive and create good habits and goals. And I think there's this reset change in my life where I'm finally realizing, hey, Marcus, guess what? You just feel better this way, and you should consistently do it. Not that you should never allow, because there will be a time for celebration. There will be an event. There will be, you know, with your kids where you're just going to want to let it happen. But there's this, almost this life comes down to getting to know thyself. And when you know thyself, you should not negotiate anymore once you understand what makes you feel awesome, or what connects you to source, and what connects you to others, and how you need to have non-negotiables. There was a seminar I went to called Hold On to Your Nuts, Non-Negotiable Unaltered Terms. And once you figure that out, life becomes a lot easier, and you don't negotiate with those, okay? And that's just who you are, and you don't have to explain yourself to anybody. That's the worst part, is when you start having to explain why. It just is who you are. And I think it's important that if you don't have people around you that support you with that, then you need to almost set boundaries around those people. Make sense? So in a roundabout way, I'm just finding that, you know, in the 44 years that I've been alive, kind of come to a place now where I just understand, guess what, Marcus? God made you this way. You're not going to find it maybe it's the way others find it. You're not a person of balance. You're not a person of moderation. Your freedom is in discipline. Your freedom is in obedience to the King. Your freedom is in sober-mindedness. Your freedom is not to escape and go to another place. You know, for a while there, I was seeking and almost entertaining this thought and idea of, you know, psychedelics, honestly. And then I researched, and and I'm like, the Holy Spirit just pulled me back in, personally pulled me back in. He said, not for you, Marcus. Not for you. I've called you and consecrated you to be separate, consecrated. Not that I'll never do anything ever again. Trust me, like, I'm only human, and I can only tell you what I am saying today. But today, my freedom is exactly where I am. And that's where he wants me, is seeking first the kingdom and his righteousness, guarding my heart, because out of it flows life, understanding that his word is life. His word is the lamp to my feet, the light to my path. His word is what man shall live upon. And it's a lifestyle of fasting, and it's a lifestyle, for me at least, at this moment, I just, you know, I find where food is nourishment rather than pleasure. And that's why the carnivore approach works really well for me. I don't know, it's just it's probably the right combination of amino acids and nutrients that turn off all the noise and to make me feel awesome, and turn, you know, the right amount for my hormones, for dopamine, for serotonin, for all that. Me. Anyways, I just thought that's my freedom. My freedom comes with pursuing the King, pursuing the Holy Spirit, pursuing the Father. Where is your freedom? Because ultimately, the battlefield is in your mind. And if you can't hold those thoughts captives and you're losing that war, you've already lost. And the enemy's here to still kill and destroy. And when you can acknowledge that this is a spiritual warfare, or you don't. But ultimately, as a man thinks in his heart, so he becomes. So one way or not, you're going to have to get it. And guess what? You can't take any of that stuff, all this stuff you can't take with you. So if you know that, what's the legacy you're going to leave behind? And ultimately, are you happy with the person you are today? God bless.